I'm gonna make sure my glasses are straight here. All right, everybody. It's still Halloween. The whole month is Halloween. And we're still talking about horror movies. And we're going to take a look back into the far, far distant past, known as the 1960s, to look at two movies which are older than me. They're older than me. And they're black and white. I'm from the era of color. I was born in color, but these movies came just before I was born. And the 60s were an interesting time for horror movies. The 50s were kind of the monster, creature feature kind of things, but the 60s we started getting a little more experimental, a little more psychological. We had Rosemary's Baby. We had Psycho, right? Which was a big hit with the kids. And, of course, Night of the Living Dead came out at the tail end of the 60s. So we're going to be looking at some 1960s black and white horror movies, both of which I love for different reasons. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're doing tonight. So the first movie we're going to look at is 1962's Carnival of Souls, directed by a feller named Herk Harvey. Herk Harvey, and it stars Candice Hilligoss as Mary Henry. She's really the only star of the movie. Now, this movie, I love this movie. It's really short. It's just over an hour long. And it's very slow. It's a very slow movie, and there's no kills or anything like that, really. And, there's no huge action. It's very psychological, but it's very atmospheric, right? It's beyond atmospheric. Like, it's the proto A24 atmospheric horror movie. All the sort of, creepiness and drama is just entirely done by cinematography, by acting, and by music. And it's also kind of, we'll get into this later, but it's also kind of got this strange David Lynch kind of feel to it too. So it's really good. I recommend you go watch it. It's on YouTube. It's free. And we'll talk a little bit more about it now. It starts off, she's in a car with some guys, with some teenagers, I guess. I guess they're teenagers. It's kind of hard to tell. And they're racing another car. And in the course of this race, the car that she's in goes off a bridge and crashes into the water. And she emerges from that wreck and tries to, get her life back and rebuild. She's an organist. And organ music plays a huge role in this movie. And she's got a job playing for a church in Utah, even though she says she's not particularly religious.
Mary, it takes more than intellect to be a musician. Put your soul into it a little, okay?
So anyways, she moves to Utah, and but when she's there, she finds she's having a lot of problems, like connecting or relating to the people there, and she feels drawn to this place called the Pavilion, which is a abandoned carnival, from which the movie gets its name. I'm gonna spoil this movie because you'll probably figure it out really early on in the show, and it's like 60 years old, right? It's a 60-year-old movie. You'll figure out what's going on. And if you've ever read An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge by Ambrose Bierce, or have seen the Twilight Zone episode, you'll know exactly what this movie's about. Now, the movie took 3 weeks to make and cost $33,000, and 2,000 of that went to Candice. So it was a very low budget movie, made very quickly, and Neither Candice Hilligoss or Herk Harvey really did much after that. There's a few things I wanted to bring up. One was the Mary character, Candice Hilligoss. Her acting in this, if when you watch the movie, you kind of wonder, like, what is she doing? She's very, like, robotic. It's a very strange acting style. She's an exceptionally beautiful but kind of odd-looking woman. She's got this amazing hair, these extremely expressive eyes, like, well, big eyes, right? And it's very striking, especially when you watch it in this black and white. Her character has repeatedly says things like, I can't connect with people. She doesn't have a boyfriend. She's not interested in having a boyfriend. She's not interested in making friends. She just wants to get through life on her own.
You have a boyfriend here or back home?
No, and I have no desire for one.
Never?
No. I'm surprised to find myself saying that. But it's true. I have no desire for the close company of other people.
Have you always felt this way?
I don't know.
Don't you want to join in the things that other people do? Share the experiences of other people?
I don't seem capable of being very close to people. I do feel that perhaps I am trying to reach out for those other things.
Do you feel guilty wanting them?
I don't understand you.
I'm not a psychiatrist.
So naturally we think, oh, this is why she's not really fitting in to this town in Utah, which I think is Salt Lake City, but I'm not really sure, but it's in Utah. But she's not fitting in, and she's staying at a boarding house, right? Now, the only people in this boarding house are her and this other guy, whose name I forget. I'll put it up on screen. But he's a creep. He is a creep. He's probably the creepiest character in this movie. But ultimately, this guy has nothing to do with the movie. Outside of, maybe you could say things like, maybe Mary was right to be wary of guys like him. Guys like him, wild guys, right? Because earlier on, when we saw the accident, she was hanging around with the wild crew, right? And that's what caused the car to go off the bridge. But he's not the only man in Mary's life. There is a character just titled The Man, who was played by the director. He shows up in the boarding house. But no one else can see him. He also appears in her side window while she's driving to Utah. When I said there was a Lynchian kind of connection to this, all of this weird The Man guy just showing up, and he shows up all the time and scares her, reminds me of the Robert Blake character in Lost Highway. Like, immediately, that's what I thought of. It makes me wonder, like, if I'm immediately going to that place where I'm like, hey, that's the Lost Highway guy, I have to wonder if David Lynch, obviously he's probably seen this movie, and I'm not saying he maybe drew some inspiration from it. Who knows how things influence people, right? It all gets processed in a blender in your brain, so who knows what comes from where. But when you watch it, if you've seen Lost Highway, you'll go, oh yeah, that's the dude. That's the guy. It's an enthralling, the movie is so, it's hypnotic in a way, and a lot of that has to do with the music. There's just organ music playing all the time. from the opening till the end. There's just organ music, like church organ music, right? She's an organist. But it's kind of got a carnival-y kind of a feel to it, but it gets more churchy, but it's just always there. And it plays a major role in the movie, because there are times when we realize that this isn't just, diegetic music. This music, it might be playing in her head, because there's times when she just absolutely can't communicate with people. She can't talk to people. They don't hear her. It's so you're thinking she's a ghost. People don't recognize her. She can't hear them. They can't hear her. But the music plays on, and all you hear is the click clack, click clack, click clack, click clack of her high heels running down the pavement. In the beginning of the movie, I thought it was overpowering. And I thought, man, is this mixed wrong? Did I get a weird copy of this? Like, why is this organ music so loud? It turns out she had actually, I mean, if you've read Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, she had died in that car accident. Because in Owl Creek Bridge, Civil War soldier is hung off a bridge, right? And all of these things that happen in the story happen between the time when he's dropping from the rope until his neck snaps. But in this one, she actually dies. And what we're watching in this movie is the sort of transition from her death to the afterlife, but her coming to accept that fact. And so the pavilion, or the carnival, which she sees multiple variants. They look kind of like Night of the Living Dead zombies in a way, are all dancing. They're all dancing together. And I guess she, like, I'm not 100% sure, but I guess she figures it out when she sees the man dancing with her in kind of like a zombie thing. Before she runs away and they all descend on her. And that's kind of it. That's the end. And I know it sounds weird, but it's a very simple story. You'll figure it out right away. But guaranteed, if you watch it, turn the lights off. It's a movie you watch by yourself, or maybe one other person, but no talking, right? You really just black out everything and just focus on the screen. It's so beautiful to watch. And with the score, it's like I said, it's an hour long, but with that score, that weird organ music playing, it hypnotizes you. Extreme atmosphere, like I said before, like the prototypical A24 atmosphere core. I think it's great. And go ahead and watch it. It's on YouTube. There's a colorized version. Do not watch that, right? It just, obviously, don't watch the colorized version. It's interesting that there is a colorized version on YouTube, but just watch the regular one and enjoy.